For the first time ever, the world's largest EV maker is building cars in Latin America, a very large and very beautiful place. And yeah, the very first model rolling off the production line isn't some flagship sedan or a fancy swanky car. It's the BYD Seagull. And it's the tiny cheap EV that basically just completely reset expectations on price, not just in China, but in most other places too. And the fact it's now being built in Brazil tells us a lot about where the global EV market is heading. Let's jump into it. There's a lot to unpack on this one. So hello folks, my name is Ben Alexander. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to these people who have bought me these are the channel members who have bought me lots of eggnog, I guess, on Buy Me Coffee or Buy Me an Eggnog Coffee or something. Happy Christmas, by the way. Yeah, so I've been watching BYD's global expansion, of course, literally every day for the last few years. And this move into Brazil is one of the clearest signals yet that they are serious about becoming a truly global car maker. It's actually just blindingly obvious. It's blindingly obvious. I mean, for example, the end of last year, 2024, I think it was actually November last year, they had sold their 10 millionth NEV. Now, a year later, they've sold another 5 million. So now they're on their fifth. Isn't that incredible? So that's, big numbers, obviously exponential growth like we've never seen. So here is what has actually happened. BYD has officially started production at its new factory in a place called Camcari in the state of Bahia in Brazil. This is BYD's first full passenger vehicle factory in Latin America, and the first car coming off the line is the BYD Seagull, known locally as the BYD Dolphin Mini. That's what it's called there. So the name choice apparently matters a lot. And BYD didn't lead with a premium model or even something sort of halfway. They went straight to the cheap basic one. Really interesting. I'm not really sure why, but I like that. And they didn't lead with a halo car or something like that. So it's really, really great because it's an incredibly practical, affordable, decent car. The factory is a serious investment. BYD has committed around 3 billion Brazilian reais. Is that how you say it? Reais? And which is roughly 550 million US dollars. So it's a lot of money. Once fully ramped up, the site is expected to produce about 150,000 vehicles per year, starting with the Dolphin Mini and then the Dolphin and later the Yuan Plus, which most of us will know as the Atto 3. So why Brazil? Very interesting question. A lot of people ask this in the comments because I've talked about this once or twice over the last so many months. This is where the strategy gets very interesting. Brazil is the 7th largest car market in the world, selling just over 2 million vehicles a year, but it's also a high tariff market. Import duties on fully built cars can add 30 to 35% to the price. That is brutal if you're trying to sell affordable EVs. By building locally, BYD avoids those tariffs completely, entirely. It's brilliant, really. So that's the difference between an EV being a niche product and being a genuinely mass market competitive product. Right now, EVs make up under 2% of Brazil's new car sales. That sounds tiny, but that's exactly why BYD wants to be there early. This is brand building territory. This is about becoming the default EV brand before the market really takes off, getting there early, obviously. Now let's talk about price, because this is the part that really matters to normal buyers. In China, the Seagull starts at around 69,800 yuan, which is about 9,700 US dollars. They've actually just made the free edition, the cheaper one, which is like $1,000 cheaper roughly. When the Seagull was first imported into Brazil, pricing landed closer to 18, so not far off double that basically, due to tariffs, logistics and import duties and things like that. With local production, there is a real possibility that price drops closer to $16,000 or $15,000 over time. That's roughly 20 to 22,000 Australian dollars, or about £11,500-ish, £11,000 I think these days. At that point, I would say that it's competing directly with all the petrol hatchbacks, not just the other EVs. I think it's competing with everything basically, and that is very, very disruptive. In Brazil, the average price of a 5-year-old used car is in the same ballpark. So suddenly, buyers are choosing between a used petrol car or a diesel car and a brand new electric car with a warranty that drives really, really nice. So the Seagull itself perfectly tuned for this role. And there's actually a YouTube channel where the person is actually repairing them and servicing them, taking the batteries out. There's a couple of YouTube channels, and there's a few of them now being documented in Brazil, having done 200, 250, I think even one's 300,000 kilometers with literally no issues. 200, 250, no issues at all. Just maybe, I think it was a new set of tires, and that was it. It was brilliant. So the Seagull itself is very, very, very suitable to Brazil. It's obviously just working really, really well. So it uses a 30.08 kilowatt hour LFP blade battery in the base version, and a larger one is 38.88 kilowatt hours. That is a little bit more expensive, but only a little bit. And the power is 55 kilowatts and about 75 horsepower. Real world range sits at 240 to 300 kilometers, depending on the battery size. And obviously you can get a bit more if you've got the bigger battery. Some people are actually telling me they're getting nearly 400. So I don't know how you're driving or where you're driving or if you're driving, but if you drive really, really slowly, you'll get very good efficiency in the Seagull or the Dolphin Mini. So this isn't a highway missile. It's not a very, very, very quick car at all. It's a sort of urban car, very, very good turning circle, easily gets into parking spaces, very, very efficient, cheap to run. You probably wouldn't be too concerned if you dented it or scraped it, I guess. But yeah, incredibly simple car. BYD has already sold over 1 million BYD Seagulls in China in just over a year. So that kind of scale really does matter, because scale is how prices keep coming down. That is the Chinese way. As far as I can see, doing things with computers, AI, robots, efficiency, keeping things really, really microscopically, surgically consistent in the factories, they can just eke out lots of tiny bits of time, save little tiny bits of money. It all adds up to just a really very competitive product in what is a kind of primitive world, even in some of the more modern legacy manufacturer factories, basically. So what makes this bigger than Brazil, though, is what it kind of proves. BYD is now executing the same playbook in multiple regions: Thailand, Southeast Asia, Hungary for Europe, Brazil for Latin America, also Turkey as well. Local production, local jobs, local pricing. This directly challenges legacy automakers. Obviously, brands like Volkswagen, Fiat, Chevrolet, and they all have factories in Brazil, but none of them actually offer electric cars at anything close to that sort of price. So their EV platforms are still way too expensive, much like I would say Volkswagens in Europe. I kind of feel like they're a bit on the steep side personally, but a lot of people think that too, actually. But yeah, a bit too complex, a bit too slow to scale, a bit hard. The waiting times have sometimes been said to me, at least, they're quite slow in Europe when you order a new Volkswagen, but I've never bought one in Europe, a new Volkswagen, so I don't know. Tesla, meanwhile, has no factory presence in Latin America at all. BYD now does. And if this factory succeeds, then Brazil doesn't just become a domestic market, it can also become, anyway, theoretically, and I think that is part of the plan, an export hub. Argentina, Chile, Colombia, and other South American markets could also be supplied from Brazil instead of China, reducing shipping costs and political risk, and also tariffs and taxes. So there's also a geopolitical layer here. Brazil and China, they're kind of allies, not like best friends or anything, but they are they work close together. They are definitely allies, have strong trade ties, especially around raw materials and manufacturing. BYD setting up production in Brazil fits very, very neatly into that broader relationship, and it avoids many of the trade tensions BYD is facing in Europe and North America. The big takeaway for me, I think, is this. BYD is not just selling cars anymore. They're exporting their entire manufacturing model, and it won't be too long before the Huawei BYD deal will come in, and our homes and everything basically in our lives will become sort of centralized and digitalized, and BYD, and when you drive home, a cloud knows about it, and your gates open, your lights turn on, your hot waters, because that deal has already been, BYD have applied to work with Huawei for that. So that's a very big deal. So this is how you become the Toyota of EVs, I reckon. Not by winning headlines, but by literally just being everywhere, being a part of it, and showing up to the party, being affordable, being reliable, and being recognizable. So let me know what you think. If you've lived in Brazil, would you buy a locally built Seagull over a petrol hatchback if they were the same price? I don't know. What would you do? Would you do that? And do you think more countries will start attracting EV factories like this to keep prices down? Obviously, Turkey are, Hungary are. Put your thoughts in the comments. Really, really, really keen to see what you've got to say about it. And also, again, thank you to all the people that bought me an eggnog Christmas coffee. Happy Christmas, everybody. And all the people that are joining on, YouTube members and on Patreon. Really genuinely thrilled with that and really touched. So thank you very much for a brilliant year. I will be posting more videos by the end of the year. Thank you for a brilliant year this year. Really appreciate that. And had some great conversations, loads of Facebook messages and Instagram messages and emails. And it's been brilliant. So thank you very much for being a part of it, because it's as much about you as it is about the news and the channel itself. So it's great. So thank you very much.